one of the things that the IMF does mention in its report is that the Indian government's stimulus to boost the economy and help the poorest, what's called above-the-line stimulus, was 2% of GDP. But the IMF data suggests this was a poor stimulus in the sense that India has spent less stimulus money than most other developing countries. For example, Thailand and Brazil's stimulus was 9% of GDP. That's more than 4 times India. And in fact, the IMF report says the average for all developing countries is more than double India's 2% fiscal stimulus. But India scores well in liquidity measures such as equity, loan and guarantees, what are called below-the-line measures. India has done better and is well above the average for developing countries. So in many ways, the IMF report focuses on the direct stimulus, the above-the-line expenditure. And we are way down the list compared to other countries. Although we've not done too badly on below-the-line, mainly liquidity factors. But on actual direct stimulus, India could perhaps do more than just 2%.
It is up to every country. These are sovereign decisions that they have to be taken in domestic context. But I can just give you the numbers, right? What we see in emerging markets, countries that are compatible to India, is indeed a different share of direct versus below the line contributions. In India, it is 2% above the line, 4% below the line. So moving this further and increasing support somewhat definitely is going to help India. You're going to have a festival season coming. We know this is a good time to give a boost to the economy. I hope it will be used.
Yes, true. The festival season will see a huge additional spending and hopefully a boost in demand. But we also hope that not too many public gatherings will take place and it will not lead hopefully to a second spike. That's also a worry, right?
But this is where India is remarkable, because you are a leader in IT. Way before anybody else, you got into digital, the digital space. So you can shop from home.
Right. We have digital minds, not old-fashioned analog minds.
Yes, indeed.
Another very, very worrying factor highlighted in the IMF report is the rise in poverty in India caused by this pandemic. Your report shows that the pandemic has led to a major impact on poverty in India. There's been a huge increase in poverty. The IMF data shows that the extreme poverty level in India is going up to over 120 million people. Compared with, if there wasn't a pandemic, it would have been about 80 million people in extreme poverty in India. So the IMF is saying that 40 million extra people will fall into extreme poverty as a result of this pandemic. That's perhaps the biggest crisis that India is facing or has faced for decades when it comes to poverty. A 50% increase in extreme poverty in 1 year. So how does one tackle this?
Yeah, you have a very good digital ID system that allows you to direct targeted support to the most vulnerable. And it is a very good time to use this to the fullest, to reduce the number of people falling into extreme poverty, and also to expand opportunities for entrepreneurship, especially of women. We see in this crisis that women act responsibly for their families, so empower the Indian women even more.